You're listening to Brick by Brick, a work boot's approach to your wealth.
Well, good evening and welcome back to episode 2 of Brick by Brick, a bootstrap approach to your wealth. I'm here joined today by my co-host Connor Theofolt, and I am Kyle Lubeck. We both work at LGH Wealth, and we're here today to talk about what is a plan.
What is a plan? One or two cocktails, and just talk to the people about what is a plan, what things go into a plan, and what do those things mean? Why are they important? And then ultimately, what is the cost of not having a plan? Right?
Exactly, right? And there's been tons of studies done on that, and we'll bring some of those either up today or maybe in future episodes, depending on how much time we have. But, what is a plan, Connor? What does that mean to you? I have my definition. Everyone seems to have a different one.
Totally.
And we didn't prepare ahead of time for this. So
As we don't.
Right? But
so when I hear plan, financial plan, wealth plan, the simplest way I could put it, trying to be succinct, is a purposeful strategy created to summarize what your goals are from a financial standpoint in your life and figuring out the steps to get there. Okay, that's about as simple as I can probably put it. That's what a plan is to me. Mm-hmm. And then we layer in, hey, what happens or how are we going to respond while we're walking along that path, accomplishing those goals and that strategy, that plan, things don't go the way they want or the way we want, because that's life, right? I think at its simplest form, that's what a plan is to me.
Yeah.
What about you?
I mean, yours use big words.
You like that? Yeah. Nice and methodical. And
I look at it more as marrying current behaviors and accumulations to what the future events are and the timelines it takes to get there.
Timelines is big.
I've seen some successful plans. I've seen some plans that blow up, unfortunately. Yeah. And I've seen some, people who just haven't planned. And there's a lot of people in between. And, hopefully anyone listening today is given some thought to their plan. But, what we want to do, I know as we were kind of preparing a little bit, talking about what the topic would be today, is to figure out, okay, what are the elements of a plan?
Right.
How does, whether you're planning yourself, whether you're planning with your advisors, whether you're talking through family planning, there's a lot of different components to that. But as we start exploring those elements, what are the key points you think a lot of people should think about?
Well, and we'll keep it relatively high level right tonight, but I think we're going to have to go into each of these areas in different episodes. I think those are going to be really good for people to hear. But a lot of times the first one people think about is retirement plan, right? I'm planning for my retirement. When can I retire is the question we hear a lot. And when I retire, how much can I live on? And those are good questions. I don't mean to downplay them, but that is one part of what I would call, and believe me, and this, I can't stand the buzzwords, the commercial words, but the comprehensive plan would include more than just, hey, what day can I retire? It includes a lot of stuff, and we can go into some of those things if you'd like.
And that retirement date is beautiful. But I'll tell you right now, one, I haven't had anyone retire that I know and quit working altogether and do nothing to stimulate their brain. But prior to that retirement date, there's so many activities in life that happen. If children are involved, graduating high school, going to college, graduating college, first-time home purchases, cabins, cars. Heck, I mean, nowadays, just my daughter's braces, you got to plan for and save for. That's not you can just come out. So these big capital expenditures that come up need to be planned ahead of time, and that involves some emergency fund planning and things like that. So there's lots of different elements that you need to plan for ahead of time.
Right.
And hopefully retirement doesn't take a back seat.
Yeah.
One more thing to add to the mix that we're actually seeing more and more is having to take care of aging and ailing parents. That's another one, is starting to give some thought ahead to what. There's a wonderful article that came out calling the midlife squeeze, where you have folks in their 35 to 55 range where they're not only taking care of their children who are still dependents, now their parents are aging to a point and haven't planned to where now they're also becoming dependent. And it's affecting not only financial stability and security, but also impacting happiness. And there's just a lot more stress involved.
So what I'm hearing is you're kind of getting into a couple of things, right? You're talking,
I'm
talking about the retirement plan. Hey, when can I retire? What does that look like?
Yep.
Before I get there, goal planning. Okay. Part of your financial plan is, what about the goals that aren't when I'm 60 or 65 or 55 or whatever it is? What about paying for the kids' school? What about paying off the car, paying off the house, getting the cabin, the vacation place? And then you're also bringing in, and this is beautiful, and beautiful is a weird way to describe it, but this is a reality of life, which is, hey, those potholes along the path, that is your plan, that is your strategy, those things you didn't see coming, the ailing parents, for example. Those are things you can't just go, well, I'm doing my 401k, and so I've got a plan, and we're good, right? Life doesn't go like that.
Sorry, Mom, you gotta, I'll buy you a nice tent.
It wasn't part of the match, Mom, I guess. Yeah, nice tent. Another one that people miss, I think, quite a bit is the estate plan. Now, we're not attorneys, but what happens after retirement when you have passed on? That's a huge part people start to really focus on.
That's going to be a whole episode.
It is. No, and these are all, we're going to spend a lot of time on that. But, part of a good plan is what happens if, to your stuff, if you pass before you retire or before you were planning on it. And what happens, if you live that full life, that full retirement, awesome. You accomplish that retirement you wanted, maybe with your spouse or whatever it may be. Then what happens to what's left over? Are you gifting, bequeathing to your kids, your grandkids, to charities? Those are all things that go a little bit beyond when can I retire, which is
anyone watching here, he got a dictionary for Christmas. So
did I say the word bequeath? This is what happens when we don't have a script. Things just start
we start filming after a
dictionary,
with some drinks. But
my vocabulary actually gets better after I have a cocktail. Believe that or not. Don't make me read anything though.
But I think you hit it on the head, and there's I think, summarizing it up a little bit or just breaking it down to its core pieces, there's phases of life. Right?
Oh yeah.
There's that foundational kind of phase where you're just getting out of high school, college, getting your first big boy, big girl job, and kind of, starting out, figure out what is work benefits, what is a 401k, and who, the old funny adage of who is Roth and why is he taking my money, right? That's the tax man, by the way, if anyone's watching, curious where that money's going. And then you kind of graduate a little bit into more of an accumulation focused phase where you're now in your real big girl job, big boy jobs. You're making a little bit more money. Time is more precious than anything at that point because you're busy. You're running kids all over the place, or you're traveling. You're starting to take bigger trips that a little bit more cash available to do those things. And then after that kind of phase, then you start prepping for that distribution mindset. And it's a hard mindset, I've noticed, for people to transition into. There's a little more psychology involved than I would ever have guessed prior to just the life experience of being in the industry. But prepping for that distribution phase, prepping for medical expenses and all the things that go with that.
Social Security, Medicare.
Medicaid.
Medicaid,
people even knowing what Medicaid is.
Yeah, right. Your long-term care needs potentially. Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of things. And then, then we can get into that legacy focus, right? That's where if you do have a plan, right? Circling back to the whole point of having a plan is if we can circle back and do things right and set things up to where not only we're saving enough money, but we're preparing for some of those hurdles that we have seen and are just unfortunately parts of life. Right? Life happens.
They are. Yeah.
Then you can really do something quite magical. If you save and whether it's given to charities or starting a foundation or setting up your kids, grandkids, great grandkids. You can do a lot of good.
And that's kind of the legacy phase. That after absolutely. I love that. I think not only are we going to have some episodes specifically where we get into the nitty gritty details, because we're not going to, in 20 minutes, half hour, talking about what is a financial plan. We're not going to dive too deep, but I think that all these things, all those phases, foundational, accumulation, distribution, legacy, we're going to have to do probably full episodes on what are people facing potentially in those phases. Because that's awesome. I mean, that really is, I think, and tell me if I'm summarizing this well, financial plan is the road that you're walking to go through the hurdles of the different parts of life and accomplish the things you're hoping to accomplish. Is that kind of what we're saying that is?
I think that's more a goal. I think, that's the goal of the plan, but the actual plan itself is taking the, to quote a recently famous movie, a whizzle, the wazzle, and put it on, whether it's paper or, there's a million softwares now. And start and have a step process to create an order of operation. All right, you go out, you work your butt off every day. $1 comes in the door. I'm sure a lot of people have heard, make yourself your first bill.
Yeah.
Okay, how much is that? What can I afford?
Yeah.
And then building your lifestyle around that and giving each cent of that dollar a definitive job.
Sure.
Because we're all guilty of it. I'm guilty of it. That's why my wife doesn't let me go grocery shopping. She has a list and a plan.
Yeah.
I walk in and the cart's full. We haven't even got milk yet. So there's a prime example of a plan
totally
on a micro scale.
That's actually an interesting analogy because kind of the bottom line with what we wanted to talk about tonight is, okay, sure. So that's what a financial plan is. But what's the big deal? Why do I need one? What are the pitfalls or the dangers of not having one? Your analogy of going to the grocery store without a list is great, actually, because I'm the exact same way.
I just made that up on the spot.
She'll laugh at this. She'll go, hey, you've never brought anything home that I've asked you for, which is completely true. I'm horrible at it.
Yeah.
But a huge risk that we see for people that haven't sat down and really thought about all the different facets are they start to drift a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
You even if you're doing a lot of the right things, you're funding the retirement accounts, maybe you're not overspending, not going into debt, you're doing a lot of the right things. You can wake up one day in maybe a different phase that you just talked about than you started in and go, whoa, I'm way behind here, or here's a blind spot I didn't know I had because I was kind of drifting through it. You said before, it's a great line. Personal finance isn't hard, it's intentional. Correct. And I think to that point, not having the plan is that lack of intention.
Yep. Yeah. And there's lots of ways to structure the plan. There is no right answer. I've been blessed to speak with a lot of different people, and I've had two almost identical couples sitting across from me. You would think they would have the same goals, the same timelines, and they are dramatically different.
Sure.
Not only in what they want financially, but emotionally, what's important to them.
Yeah.
Right? Money's just a tool, right? It is just a tool. Yeah. It's not inherently good or bad. Can it be used for those things? Sure. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, being intentional with those dollars and then creating the boundaries of operation of how you structure those dollars of where they go, that's the true foundation of planning. And then you can start to have really cool ideas, right? Yeah. I think a lot of people would tend to lean towards agreeing that the system is complicated and in many areas unnecessarily complicated. But if we can, if you can just understand the game, right? Mm-hmm. And back to, 800 different analogies, but when you're playing Monopoly, typically those who read the rules win.
Sure. Yeah.
And so unfortunately the rules is the IRS code
in
a lot of instances.
in most cases,
and that's not very fun.
No, it's a good light read.
And I've read plenty of pages of that, but the game is set up a certain way. And if you can be very clear on where you're trying to get to, very clear on what you have the ability to do now and understand the rules of the game.
Yeah.
I think you can create a pretty nice plan.
Sure. Yeah. Yep. So the plan is not only intentionality, but it's also focus and adding knowledge. It's intentionally gaining knowledge, spending some time digging into how does the tax rule affect this thing I'm trying to do, or what resources are out there. That's you're talking about knowledge as well as effort or interest, right?
Oh yeah. Well, and then again, circling back, I'm going to keep going into this, and I started my college career pursuing psychology. It's not just about what people do, but it's about why they do them. And it's amazing the vast diversity of people out there and the way they approach the same problem differently. And if you can understand yourself and what you're trying to accomplish in your financial planning,
right,
and just a little bit of forethought, you can really make some cool decisions. And then once you understand those decisions, they're easily replicatable.
Totally.
And we've all seen it on Instagram and Facebook and whatever. The first 100 grand is the hardest to save, or the first 10 grand is the hardest to save.
Yeah.
Like the first part is the hardest to save. And it's never the amount of money.
It's the habit.
It's the habit you're developing and creating that order of operations for the dollars that come in. And that's such a cool thing to see people break through that first little barrier.
Totally. Yeah. That's one of the fun things. One of the blessings we get in the job we have is helping folks a lot of times on the front end of the planning process, on the front end of taking things seriously, start to build some of those successes. See the little progress. Maybe some days it doesn't feel like progress. Oh, I'm slogging away. We say this all the time. The boring beats broke thing. This isn't fun. We're fun in here. We're fun in here. We're not spending there. This is no fun.
Yep.
Then you get a couple years down the road and they start to go, aha, all of a sudden that door just opened. There's some flexibility there. They get 10 years, 20 years down the road. And now it's like, okay, we're bought in. We're on the right path, right? I think one of the downsides to not having a plan is actually an upside to having a plan. And that's creating flexibility, right? It's the ability to adjust down the road, to not have those things that happen in life hit you and have your feet stuck in the ground because you've got one option and one option only because that's all you planned for, right? Yes. So having the ability to build some flexibility, to build some maybe flexibility so you bend but you don't break when something comes your way in life. That's ultimately part of having that plan. And we've had, I'm sure a bunch of examples. I think about clients I've had that come to work with me for the first time. We're sitting down looking at their situation. They've been saving, they've been putting money away, in their 401k, let's say, and they get to retirement. And we go, ooh, we don't have any flexibility because it's all pre-tax dollars. And we'll get into the specifics on all that. But shoot, maybe if we would have had more flexibility, a little more robust options and planning earlier, we'd have more flexibility, more ability to kind of do some of the tax planning and all those kinds of things you were talking about with the IRS code. So sometimes the benefit outweighs and can get rid of a lot of the negatives of not having too.
Well, and even simplifying it a little bit further, having a plan gives you the freedom to enjoy some of the spending that you do. Mm-hmm. Right?
Do. Nice.
Do.
Clip it.
Gets a dictionary and this is what I get. All right. But what I mean by that is I know I've had buyer's remorse, even on stuff I need for the house, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Probably need a new pair of boots, but that ain't never happening.
Not now.
Not now, right? Yeah, it's too late for that. But if you don't have a plan and you're just unsure is my next month's nut covered?
Yeah.
Am I saving enough for my kids' college because I have a belief system around funding college? Did I save enough for retirement? Did I save enough for the cabin that I wanted since I was 10?
Yeah.
If you don't have that kind of laid out and run different scenarios and stress test it a little bit, you're constantly stressed about every dollar because there's no plan around it.
Yeah.
I absolutely enjoy working with clients and telling them, hey, you're good. Go have more fun.
Go have fun. Go spend some money.
Fun. Or literally today, and I'm not even sure if this is the way we're going to go. A client of ours is getting blessed with a nice bonus, and he's a very big saver, right? He's very intentional with his saving, and he wants to have some fun with his wife and kids and stuff. And I said, why don't you take some of that money, put it in an envelope, and give it to her and say, you choose what we do for fun.
Oh, cool.
Because she has been such a huge support as he's been building his company and building his division and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And, it's not a lot of money, but it's a wonderful gift that he can then share as a family. And it's maybe not in line with his personality all that much.
Sure.
But, that'll bring some joy and they can enjoy the hard work and the fruits of all that labor.
That's awesome. So it's not just intention and knowledge, but it's flexibility and ultimately it's joy.
Yeah.
It's create joy in your life. That's awesome.
Frugality totally and intentionality offer freedom.
Beautiful.
That's
great.
That's
awesome. Well, if you'd like to be involved in the show, go ahead and shoot us an email at workbootswealth@gmail.com. That's workbootswealth@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you, your questions, comments, thoughts. Get involved in the show in the future. You talked about it earlier. It was kind of a nice segue. The psychology of people is a huge part of what we do. It's a huge part of what Kyle and I do every day in our jobs. A huge part of the studying, his undergrad, all these types of things that we do is the behaviors that investors take can sometimes be the biggest hindrance, which next time we're going to talk about the hidden risk in somebody's financial future, which is their behavior. And we're going to talk about that brick by brick next time.